Greetings from New York City. I'm Phil and we're running the bridges. This is a video series where we visit all the bridges in New York City that you can run across. Big, small, the old, the new, the world famous icons, and the ones you've never even heard of. And today we are visiting the Verrazzano-Narrows Bridge. And this connects Brooklyn with Staten Island. Goes across the Narrows. The Narrows is this body of water right behind me here. And I am in Brooklyn. I am on the Brooklyn side. There's a very nice waterfront pathway here, but this is a very, of course, large, very exciting, very big bridge. And so let's get into it a little bit. Okay, and this connects, like I said, Brooklyn, the Bay Ridge neighborhood of Brooklyn with Staten Island. And if you are in an automobile, it connects with about 7th Avenue, because when they built it, they had to rip out a whole bunch of houses along 7th Avenue to put the roadway in that comes off of the bridge. To come down here on foot, I came down at the end of 4th Avenue. Take 4th Avenue all the way to the end, and there's a pathway that goes all the way down here to the water, and it's very nice. And on the Staten Island side, it is in Fort Wadsworth, and we'll visit there in a little bit. But first of all, I suppose some of you may be saying to yourself, but Phil, you can't run across it. There's no sidewalk, there's no walkway, there's no cycleway. Why are you including this in your video? Well, for those of you who don't know, there is one day a year when you can run across this, when 50,000 lucky people get to run across this. Of course, that's the New York Marathon. This bridge is the start of the New York Marathon on the Staten Island side. So even though on an average day, an average person cannot walk or cycle across, it is available for running that one day a year. And so even though it's not available, I'm just going to give a little bit of information here about it. So this was built, there were multiple crossings to connect Staten Island and Brooklyn that are proposed back in the early part of the 20th century, because Staten Island has no dry land connection with the rest of New York City. It has the Bayonne Bridge, the Gotha's Bridge, and the Outer Bridge crossing, which connects it to New Jersey. But this bridge was finally proposed. There had been tunnels proposed, and there have been different bridges proposed. This one was proposed and construction finally began in 1959, and it was opened on November 21st, 1964, with the top level only. The lower level was completed in 1969. And this, when it was opened, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world, with a main span of 4,260 feet and an overall span of 13,700 feet. That's long. And if you happen to run across this bridge on the New York Marathon, you'll notice you get the 2 mile point even before you come off of the bridge and come on to Brooklyn. So it's very interesting. But otherwise, yes, there are 13 lanes of traffic. There is no transit there's no transit access. There's no pedestrian or cycling access. There have been proposals over the years. Mayors, whatever, said, oh, well, we'll think about it, putting a pedestrian walkway across. I don't foresee that happening in my lifetime. But what would be nice, just my own personal opinion here, my little editorial, is if they would close off one of the sections of traffic, perhaps one of the upper lanes, perhaps the Staten Island on upper lane traffic, as they do for some of the streets in New York City, for city streets. Just do it like for a few, for one Saturday, for 3 Saturdays during the summer maybe, and just see how people enjoy cycling and running and walking across. But anyway, until then, we're just looking at it. But I will give some information about the area around the neighborhood here. So like I said, this pathway that I'm on, it is a very nice pathway to run on. I used to live not terribly far from here, but this pathway is about 4 miles total, about 2 miles on either side. On the east, the beginning of the path is in Bensonhurst Park at about Bay Parkway. And then on the west, along the New York Harbor, it connects up with like Owl Creek or Owl's Head Park. And so that's about 4 miles total. And there are connections in between. So that's about 4 miles total. It's a nice place to run uninterrupted right along the water here. Okay, so, and like I said, this location, if you take where I'm at, which is close to underneath the bridge, if you take 4th Avenue in Brooklyn all the way to the water's edge, you can come down here. Okay, but so there is it's just a beautiful look at it. I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to show you up at street level, the entrance to the bridge at street level, just for informational purposes for those of you who might be interested. Okay, so I'm going to pause it here for 1 second. Okay, so now we are on 92nd Street in Bay Ridge, and this is the overpass. There's the vehicle entry and exit way for the bridge. Now I'm going to move over here. The next street right there is Gatling Place, and if you ever happen to be looking at the bridge and you are running in this neighborhood and you want to run in Staten Island and you want to get across, then you come here to 92nd Street, and there's a bus stop right there. There's 3 different bus lines that go to Staten Island, the S79, the S53, and the S93. And so that's just a little, and now when you're running the marathon, I believe that both upper, I know the what it used to be called red, and they changed the colors. It used to be red, orange, and green, or red, yellow, I don't know. But both upper level start lines, I believe, come and exit here on the 92nd Street. The men's elite comes right up here, this off ramp, and right up here, and then goes to 4th Avenue. The other side, which I believe is the women's elite, they come around, and I think they come and they just have a slightly different course, because that is slightly a slight difference in distance. But in any case, I think the 2 upper level start lines come off right here on 92nd Street. The lower level, which used to be called green, I used to have that. I used to be on that one a lot. It goes on. I'll continue on the expressway below, the Bronx Expressway, until then eventually join up on the 4th Avenue with the rest of the bumpers. But so that is just a little bit of a look at the entrance, the vehicular entrance, bus entrance to the Verrazzano-Narrows Bridge if you need to get across from Brooklyn to Staten Island. Now I'm going to go and take the bus myself here, and I'll show you the Staten Island side in just a short minute. All right. Okay, so now we're on the Staten Island side, and we are on Lily Pond Avenue. Lily Pond Avenue is this big street, and Major Avenue. This is the first bus stop when you're getting off on the 53 bus, the S53. That's 79 stops, and the Brooklyn bound bus stops are not far also. You can find those. But this is just a marker here for the Verrazzano-Narrows Bridge. And you even see like that down below, it says, "Stone from Verrazzano Castle, Grieve in Chianti, Italy." So, very nice little monument there, and the plaque is a relief map of the bay and the area here, New York Harbor, including Long Island, the whole that map of the whole area. And it's interesting to note. Just a little historical fact. Um, During the planning stages, this bridge was just called the Narrows Bridge because it crossed the Narrows. And then at one point it decided that it would be named after Giovanni di Verrazzano, who was an Italian explorer and the first known European explorer to visit what is now New York Harbor, and before Hudson even. So I forget the year. I think it was late 1500s, like 1590 something. Um, but it was named after Giovanni di Verrazzano. But you'll notice up here, one Z in both locations is spelled as one Z, uh, and that's how the bridge was initially spelled. It was later determined that that was incorrect spelling of his name. It should be two Z's. And so finally in 2018, the bridge was officially respelled with both two R's and two Z's. And just so you know, the full bridge name is the Verrazzano-Narrows Bridge. So there is that hyphen there as well. Okay, but so this is the bridge entrance, like for the bus stop. But I'm going and show you just a little ways down here, and show you Fort Wadsworth. So if you happen to be in this area of Staten Island, it's very noteworthy. So I'm going to pause it here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we are in Fort Wadsworth on Staten Island, and look right behind me. I think this is probably the best view of the bridge of all. You can get even an even greater appreciation of the size and the beauty of this thing from Fort Wadsworth in Staten Island. I mean, those towers are 600 feet tall. And I should mention also, the bridge was designed, the lead designer was Osmar Aman, who of course is very famous among New York City bridges. He also designed the George Washington Bridge, the Bronx Whitestone, the Throgs Neck Bridge. Both of those don't have pedestrian access, unfortunately. Um, the suspension leg of the Triborough Bridge, as well as the Ward's Island Footbridge, which we mentioned. But it's a beautiful location, and it's a great way to appreciate the size of the bridge. And for runners, listen, we're about 2 miles from the Staten Island Ferry. If you come from the Staten Island Ferry, take Bay Street all the way, you'll come into Fort Wadsworth. Fort Wadsworth is part of the National Park Service. It's part of the Gateway National Recreation Area, which includes a lot of the waterways and shorefronts of the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area here, including Sandy Hook in New Jersey, including the wildlife refuge on that goes out to the Rockaways. It's part of the Rockaways area as well. It's a huge area, mostly like natural reserve area, but this is included. This is part of the National Gateway Recreation Area, part of the National Park Service. Just came in there. It's free and open to the public between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. And of course, also probably a little earlier for New York City Marathon, because this is the staging area for the New York City Marathon start. And so you can see there's the like the bridge and the waterfront. But I also want to just point your direction here. This little road, if you come from like the closest road to the bridge and come here, and it's not marked, that's called USS North Carolina Road. That will lead you down, go about a half mile, it will lead you down to the beach, to South Beach. South Beach and Midland Beach, which both have boardwalks and nice greenways and bikeways as well. So what you can do, and now why they have South Beach north of Midland Beach, I don't know. But listen, if you want to go for a run someplace a little bit different, take the Staten Island Ferry. You can run 2 miles about here, about another mile down to the beach, hang out at the beach for a while, explore that area, and then go back. Or if you're from Brooklyn, you can just take the bus across. Enjoy it. It's very nice. But now also, I want to show you because, like I said, this is Fort Wadsworth, and there are plenty of modern buildings, but there's also right down by the water the old fort. And I know I can get a good picture without having to go all the way down there. But I mean, look at that. Okay. A little bit farther on. They were passing underneath. And you have a nice view of Brooklyn. Oh, you can see the parachute jump way off in the distance there. There's the Brooklyn side. You can't quite catch the Manhattan skyline just yet, but we'll get there. Okay. I just want to show you okay. Haha. Well, I'm hoping we can get a good view of the fort without having to go all the way down there. The old fort. But this is part of the old fortification right here. And oh, here we go. So right down there on the water, you have the old fortification. Yeah. And then some of these structures up here are part of that complex, part of that fort complex. So it's definitely worth a visit. And you also, of course, have informational signage about the bridge, spelled with one Z. They haven't fixed that yet. Battery Weed, built in 1847, begun in 1847. Completed during the Civil War. Defending New York Harbor. All right, so, like I said, even though you can't go across the bridge on your own, on foot, I recommend visiting Fort Wadsworth. Like I said, it's only a couple miles from the ferry. You can get on the bus from Brooklyn and just get off at the first stop and come visit. And it's a great place. And so I guess that's about my. Oh no, I do want to show you just a little bit extra, because for those marathon runners, the other nice feature is that you get to see the staging area, the start line area, just in normal times, without all the stuff and without all the people. You can see they have educational signage everywhere. All right. But this is not mostly of where you will be staging. Now, as I remember, way back in the day, I've run the New York Marathon 11 times between 1997 and 2017. And there were times like the UPS trucks that would take your bags. They would be lined up on this street. But for the most part, and then at one time they also had the world's longest urinal, which is just a great big trough, plastic trough urinal with a hose at one end to wash everything down. And they used to put that right there, like right by that fence that goes by the anchorage. I remember that. I thought it was efficient, you know? I don't know why they stopped doing that. But generally, the staging area is just off to this side. I think they used to put, I definitely remember they would put the UPS trucks in this parking lot as well, at least one time. I don't even know if UPS does bags anymore, but generally this is like this is New York Avenue, kind of like the main street. If you come in from Bay Street, you come right on New York Avenue, and this is, I think, basically where they funnel people at first, and then they spread out. Like I said, it's been a while since I've run it, but all the staging area would be like back in that area. But this is what it looks like when you're not running the marathon. So I'll just finish off, then I'll stay over here so you can still get a nice view of the towers at least. So that is our look at the Verrazzano-Narrows Bridge, which you can run across one day a week if you are one of the lucky 50,000 people or so. But like I said, there's plenty to see on the Brooklyn side. There's plenty to see on the Staten Island side. So I hope to see you out here somewhere running. Thank you for watching, and we'll see where the wind takes us for the next one.